But if I was going to live with that pain, why not numb it? Black out my thoughts like trying to edit a story, purge my insides of everything unclean while kneeling in front of a porcelain god. I worship my own destruction.
Bro, okay. Whoa. All right, goosebump check. I don't know if y'all can see him. Can y'all see that? Please tell me you can see that. Chynson Thomas, aka Sir Thomas. Last weekend, I saw you perform live and you absolutely killed it. We were in a coffee shop. You was doing your thing, just blowing people's minds with the bars you were spitting. It's about time I check out your work. Thank you for sending it my way. This is actually a request from him, and I'm really happy to see what he's got from here, all right? With that being said, let's get started.
June 13th, 1988. The day I was delivered from my mother's womb. The joy that filled the room was sucked out of the air with my breathless body. Usually a cry after birth is the sound of life. But it was my mother crying out to God to save the life of her baby boy. I don't remember the day, but I remember my mother telling me how God delivered on her request. A story of being born dead would one day help me understand the need to be born again.
Okay. Nah, I gotta stop him there. Thank you for pausing, bro. Thank you. That really gets me thinking about how normally we hate it when babies cry. We absolutely hate it when babies cry because it's loud, it's screechy, it's disturbing, right? But the one time you desperately want to hear the cry of a baby is when they're born. That is the one time where you're begging to hear the cry of a baby. I also like the idea of like the deliverance scheme he had going on, the extended metaphor of being delivered, right? So he's talking about being born, which is being delivered as a baby, but he's also talking about being delivered from death, right? God saved him from dying, you know? He even juxtaposed the cry of a baby to the cry of his mother out to God to save her baby, right? Like bro, I know it's only 30 seconds. We're only 30 seconds in, but that's cold. You feel me? That's cold. And then finally, he said that him being born dead showed him the importance of the need to be born again. Yo, okay, so for those of you who maybe aren't Christian, the idea of being born again comes from the fact that when we come to this world, we are dead in our sins, meaning our mistakes make us spiritually dead. And every wrongdoing we've ever done makes us spiritually dead, right? And that's why Jesus calls us to be born again, that if we believe in him and his death and resurrection for us, in spite of the mistakes we made, we can actually have life in him and a relationship with God. So him being born dead physically was actually a good way of him understanding how we're born dead spiritually and how we need new life. You see what I'm saying? So that was a crazy bar, honestly. And if you want to read more about what I was talking about, check out John chapter 3 in the Bible. Jesus explains it perfectly, the idea of being born again. All right, let's keep going.
Fall 2006. I started my first year of college. A place that has given birth to some of our finest leaders. Doctors, lawyers, CEOs, engineers, athletes. It has packaged many brilliant minds and delivered them to the world, supposedly a boarding pass to take you to a higher calling. But this is the place where I reached some of my lowest lows. Last of my mother's kids, but first to leave the nest and soar in this uncharted territory. But how do you fly high in the sky with weighted wings? The pressure of completing a task without example, be the poster child, a billboard showcasing your family name, only there because they believed you were Neo in this matrix of a world, and I struggled.
Bro.
I was there for them and not for me. The bar was raised high and I didn't want to let them down, but my muscles weren't developed enough to shoulder that load. That's where I first met depression. A friend, only there to help watch you struggle.
Okay, I'll stop him there. Y'all, that was really well written. I mean, really well written. We're talking from the bar being raised high and he didn't want to let them down, right? So we have that antithesis of up versus down, but also sentimentally, like we can feel sympathy for him to be the last born, yet be expected to go the furthest. That's a lot of pressure. Even as a firstborn, I felt pressure going into college. Now, granted, I come from a family line of college graduates, so the pressure wasn't anywhere near what he was going through, but I still felt it. I had to set an example for my younger siblings, right? I couldn't go to school and flunk and fail. So yeah, even I can imagine to a degree what he must have been going through. And then add on top of it the fact that he's thinking of all the greats that have come out of college and what the expectations were for them. That starts to weigh down on him, and then comes depression, right? Like you can kind of see where this is going. He's lining it up really well. I also want to say that there's a consistent theme of dropping dates, right? He introduces himself through his birthday. He says like August 13th, 1987. I don't know what it was, but you know what I'm saying. And then when he's talking about him going to school for the first time, right? Like higher education, he drops the date for that as well. You know, it's kind of like we're just being given snapshots of his life, like flashes of his memories, hence the title, you know? So I kind of like that scheme he's going for. Let's keep going.
But my muscles weren't developed enough to shoulder that load. That's where I first met depression. A friend, only there to help watch you struggle, identify your problems and magnify their appearance, help you see the cracks in your life, keeps your vision dim enough not to see any light. I tried to ditch him at parties. But you can't dance away depression. I tried. I failed many classes. I skipped to the tune of my own demise. My hourglass started feeling half empty, so I would fill it with cheap alcohol. Many days I spent holding an ocean in my eyes, scared to flood the world with my problems, drowning under pressure, yet I'd still swim deeper in a pool of liquor, trying to wash away the pain, not realizing you should never put alcohol on an open wound. It prolongs the healing process, damages your tissue even more, adds more scars than before. But if I was going to live with that pain, why not numb it? Black out my thoughts like trying to edit a story, purge my insides of everything unclean while kneeling in front of a porcelain god. I worship my own destruction.
Bro, okay. Whoa. All right, goosebump check. I don't know if y'all can see him. Can y'all see that? Please tell me you can see that. Bro, nah, what on earth was that? He talks about how the depression gives him enough vision to see the cracks in his life, but not enough vision to see the light coming in. That's loaded. Come on, you know that's a bar, bro. Furthermore, he has a bit of wordplay where he's saying that he was missing classes because of his depression, skipping to the tune of his own demise, right? You normally skip to music or skip to something jovial, but he's skipping to something sad like his demise, but he's also skipping class, right? So there's a double meaning there. Bro, is loaded. Come on. He said his hourglass was feeling half empty, so he would fill it with alcohol. Think about this. An hourglass is something that tells time, right? You flip it over and the sand goes from top to bottom. And when it's all the way at the bottom, all the sand, you know an hour has passed. Well, he's feeling like he's running out of time and he's not making the most of his college experience. He starts filling it with alcohol like you would any other glass, right? Like, bro, that's crazy. How is he coming up with this? And then he talks about, you know, blacking out his thoughts. Yeah, when you drink so much, you black out. That's getting blackout drunk pretty much. The idea of blacking out his thoughts was really cool because he was actually using it as a reference to the editing process that a lot of poets go through, right? A lot of times you have to scratch out certain words that are unnecessary. Or also, a lot of poets will take literature that is not poetry, black out the words they don't want to use, and the words that remain on the page will become their new poem. He's also talking about how he would drink so much that he would kneel before like a porcelain god. He's talking about a toilet, right? Drinking so much you have to purge, you have to vomit. But he was also attempting to purge out all the darkness and pain and pressure he's going through. Like you see what I'm saying? Come on, like, you know that's cold. You know it. Let's keep going.
Insides of everything unclean while kneeling in front of a porcelain god. I worship my own destruction. I never knew days could be so dark. Where was the God that delivered me at birth to deliver me from this black hole? I knew about him, but I realized I never knew who he was. I knew his power. The same power that breathed life into my lungs brought light to that situation. He saved a young man from arm wrestling with the grip of death, showed me the cracks in my life where from faulty foundation, those magnified problems were no match for a big God. The same God that delivered Egypt from chains, led them through the sea on dry ground and washed away their stains of their oppression. The same God that sent Jesus to save those who believed and deliver death its eulogy. The same God that sits high and looks low, saw a young man made in his image and delivered me from the tomb of my iniquity.
Okay. That was a lot. I'm sorry I paused it with a few seconds left, but I couldn't help it. He talked about being delivered from the womb, right, when he was born. He talked about being delivered from like not breathing, so being cured, right? But then he's talking about being delivered from death, which is being delivered from a tomb. That's crazy. That's actually insane. Like, you see how he continued that extended metaphor from beginning to end, this whole idea of deliverance, going as far as to mention, Moses and the Israelites being delivered from their bondage and slavery, right? That's another kind of delivered, being freed, right? Like, you see, bro, this is absolutely absurd. While he's going through it, he's like, where's that same God who did it for me before? And God reminded him of like the fact that, hey, I've always been here. It's just about time you fix your foundation. Your foundation has cracks in it because it's not built on me. You build it on me and you'll see how the same God who delivered you back then is the same God who can deliver you now. Bro, yo, I did not mean to be preaching, but Chynson, you got me like that, bro. My bad. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna go back one more time and we'll just let him finish.
God that delivered Egypt from chains, led them through the sea on dry ground and washed away their stains of their oppression. The same God that sent Jesus to save those who believed and deliver death its eulogy. The same God that sits high and looks low, saw a young man made in his image and delivered me from the tomb of my iniquity. He gave me life. And this goes to show there's always hope.
There's always hope, y'all. Always. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care how bad it is, how much you think, oh, there's nothing left for me. No one can save me. Jesus can save you. Yes, he can. I remember when I was at my lowest and I cried out to God. I said, God, if you're real, come through for me. And he did. Sure enough, he did. I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to be down. I know what it's like to be broke. Heck, in all honesty, I'm still broke. But there's a joy I have in my heart thanks to the same Jesus who looked from above and said, Kendrick needs me. Kendrick needs me, and came through. He'll do the same for you. I promise. Call out to him. All right. With that being said, I just want to break down some of the final bars he spat. He was talking about how, Jesus washed him clean, right? He was trying to wash himself clean with the liquor he was drinking, trying to wash himself in the pool that he was drowning in, but that was the wrong way to go about it. And Jesus showed him that only he can wash him clean with his living water, So that was really cool. He also mentioned this idea of giving death its eulogy, right? A eulogy is kind of like a speech you give at someone's funeral. Jesus conquered death. So he's looking at death saying, you have no power over me. That's the kind of speech he's given. You feel me? When Jesus rose from the dead, he said, hey, now that I live, in spite of the fact I died, you can live also. Who can say it better than Chynson, Sir Thomas himself, right? Thank you so much, bro. Thank you. I got more I got to check out from you, so I look forward to doing that soon. And to the rest of you subscribers, you listeners, you can send me your poems or your raps and I'll react to them, all right? If you DM me on Instagram or you send me a message to my business email, both are in the description below, I'll happily check it out. We'll talk about the details of the collaboration and I'll expose your work and your art to my audience. All right. So make it happen. With that being said, talk to y'all soon. Deuces.